Good evening. Greeting from Germany, France, Canada, Australia. We Alive for Democracy in Laos. We make today side event greeting to UN Climate Conference COP27 in Egypt. Today, we have to speak about problem in the Laos PDR. We know this conference is very important for all Lao people in our country. The Lao government have to make protection for human rights and protection human rights and environment in Laos. But in the fact, in the Lao PDR, they don't have something to protection the environment, to protection climate, to build for future for the new generation. Today, we want to speak about which problem in our homeland country. My name is Dr. Bounthone Chanthalavong Wiese. I am the president of the Alliance for Democracy in Laos. ADL is the worldwide network of human rights and democracy activists for Laos with headquarters in Germany. We are an independent NGO for human rights and democracy and to protection environment in our homeland. I would like to focus about political and human rights situation in the Lao PDR. Laos is one of the 5 remaining communist countries in the world. Despite enormous natural resources and raw material deposit in Laos, the country is still one of the poorest in the world. The main reasons for this area are land grabs and mega projects like the dams. No one of these projects had made any success for the people, nor gave them an employment place. About 45% of the land area in Laos today is owned by foreign investors without access for the Lao people. Laos is independent first and foremost by Vietnam. I will share screen for you. Particularly militarily and politically. And secondary, the influence by China today is not only from economy, but is political and military more and more since recent years. The Chinese and Vietnamese people has more rights in Laos than our Lao people. And now, Russia make influence politically and militarily in Laos too. The Lao PDR government support Putin's war crime, but we, the Alliance for Democracy in Laos and the Lao people who love justice and democracy, we don't support Putin war. The main problem in the Lao PDR, in addition to the dictatorship, is the massive corruption in every stage of the administration. International aid is still a victim of the corruption. Most of the aid didn't reach the people. Freedom of expression. The government of the Lao PDR has recognized the UN Declaration of Human Rights, but it is not implemented in the country. We know no human rights, no climate protection. In Laos, for example, there have been several decrees and laws in recent years that increasingly restrict freedom of the press and freedom of expression. There are also district internet controls. Every critique now is a decriticization of the system. So dissidents are sentenced up to 20 years in prison. Example, Mr. Chantha, Ms. Lord Chanthalavong, and Mr. Manychanh, three Lao bloggers, were arrested in March 2016 and sentenced to 12, 16, and 20 years. You can see this picture. Another well-known case in the Laos is of Miss Manychanh, better known her nickname Muay. In November 2019, she was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. In November 2019, regime critic Mr. Bounthone first disappeared without a trace in the capital Vientiane. Then he was arrested without an independent jurisdiction. Time and again, human rights activists disappear or are murdered in Laos. The case of Chanthalavong, a democracy activist, is particularly mysterious. He disappeared in Thailand in 2019 under previously unexplained circumstances. Sombath disappeared on December 15, 2012. The official still denies any knowledge about the ongoing of this case. Instead of allowing any independent investigation, they publish conspiracy theories. The case of Banjuk village, 14 villagers was arrested, who 2 of them are under the age of 15 and 1 other person has died. Some of them are still in custody. Independent non-governmental organizations that advocate human rights or environmental protection are prohibited by Decree 238. Our recommendation. First, effect change toward a Chinese democratic system of government with multi-political parties and legitimate free election in Laos under the provision of the United Nations. Second, respect and practice human rights according to the principle, treaties, and convention to which the Lao PDR is a signatory, including the freedom of expression, assembly, protest, media, freedom for political parties and organizations like independent NGOs, freedom to make criticism of the party's errors and mistakes. Third, we demand the immediately and uncontroversially release all political prisoners in Laos, including Ms. Manychanh and 3 Lao bloggers, Mr. Chantha, Ms. Lord Chanthalavong, and Mr. Manychanh, as well as Mr. Manychanh and the village from Banjuk and another. Fourth, stop the flow of Lao youth into the sex trade, slave labor, and drug addiction. Combat and eliminate corruption continue without exception and guarantee that international assistance, bilateral and multilateral, reach on the people, especially the poor among them, throughout the country. Fifth, stop the land grab and the mega projects immediately. Stop the massive settlement of Chinese people, stealing the land of Laotians and the destructive influence of China in Laos, stop the consequence of Laos by Vietnam and the end Vietnam Special Treaty of 1977. Stop influence Russia in Laos. Thank you. This is my statement for the UN's climate conference in Egypt, COP27. The next speaker will be Mr.Pheng Sacksady, President of the Australia chapter. You have to, please, Mr. Pheng Sacksady.
Thank you, Dr. Bounthone. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's good morning on Saturday from Canberra, Australia. My name is Pheng Sacksady, President of the Alliance for Democracy in Laos, chapter Australia. Welcome you all to the ADL side event to combat climate change. Thank you, COP27. Thank you, Sheikh Egypt, for the conference of climate change. We are here in protest against Laos PDR, Lao People's Democratic Republic, deforestation in Laos. The agenda for sustainable development adopted by all nations member states in 2015 provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. At its heart are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which are an urgent call for action by all countries, developed and developing, in a global partnership. They recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve our rivers, oceans, and forests. Despite agreement with the EU and other countries to stop deforestation, the over-exploitation of the forests in Laos continues. It is true that deforestation by Vietnamese companies for the purpose of transport and further processing in Vietnam is declining. However, this trend is not because the Lao government is stopping it, but rather because there is a lack of economic forest land to clear. Deforestation in Laos is a major environmental concern, with Laos losing forest areas to legal and illegal logging. Illegal logging in 2020, more than 2,600 cubic meters of illegal harvested wood and over 290 tons of illicit timber were seized. Authorities inspected wood processing plants and found 2,788 were in violation of government restriction. Some 1,636 plants which failed to operate lawfully were shut down. This is one of the many for the past 47 years of the Lao Communist ruling since the 2nd December 1975. Deforestation in Laos are in many shapes and forms. From dams project deals, mining project deals, and special economic zone project deals. When the communists took power, 70% of lands were forests. Now, the inventory is down to about 30%. A carbon dioxide CO2 consumer thus quickly become a CO2 producer. Instead of rainforest, forests with monoculture of rubber and trees and banana plantations are emerging. Banana plantations in particular pollute the environment with pesticides and poison the groundwater. Ironically, despite a ban on banana plantation after the flood disasters of recent years, these plantations have increasingly been planted for reforestation with government support in favor of a Chinese company. Let me remind everybody here present in online and in the room, Laos has a population of about 7 million, GDP of 20 billion US, ranked 114, GDP per capita of $2,551, and corruption rank 130 out of 180, of as high as 14.42% per year, 2019 estimate. With the aggressive one-party government ruling by the People's Revolutionary Party under siege or under control, first by Vietnam under the so-called Lao-Vietnamese Treaty of Friendship, 18 July 1977, just renewed its 45 years relationship this year. Secondly, Lao-China bilateral relationship after the end of the Sino-Vietnamese conflict from 1979 and 1991 to 1991. And thirdly, the Russian military base to station in the Xiang Quang province with the airport built in year 2019. I have three questions for the Lao People Revolutionary Party. Are you preparing your communist state heading towards Ho Chi Minh characteristic? Or two, are you heading towards the Chinese characteristic of Xi Jinping's World One China, or World China One, or China One World, or China World One, or One China World, or One World China? It's confused everybody. And thirdly, are you heading towards the Russian characteristic of Leninism, of Putin's way? In a democratic country, we obey the rules of law, where everyone is under the law. But in the authoritarian states like Laos, everyone is under the law, where the most powerful are above the law. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I will end my speech by my recommendation. 1, climate change now. 2, stop corruption in Laos now. 3, stop logging immediately. 4, democracy in Laos now. And lastly, implementation the rule of law, but not the rule by law, by the Lao People's Revolutionary Party. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr.Pheng Sacksady. The next speaker will be Mr.Thoum Manychanh, representative from Canada chapter ADL. Do you have, please?
Thank you, President Bounthone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Thoum Manychanh, a delegation of Alliance for Democracy in Laos, chapter of Canada, speaking on behalf of President Kamban Anontichen. Well, I'm happy today in this conference. I'm going to talk about the climate change conference for the COP27. I'm going to talk about climate change in Asia, especially in Laos. Laos PDR government has been supported a lot of other countries around the world about climate change, sustainable development, and good governance to protect climate change by the EU, USA, Australia, G7, give them the money to protect the climate change. But Lao government is destroying it. They are doing opposite and continue to build more dams in the Mekong River at Luang Prabang province. And deforestation because concession by China for 99 years. Lao PDR, Lao people have no agricultural land and then move people out from that area. That means China destroy nature, destroy Lao country, and destroy Lao people's future. Lao government must stop giving land to China and Vietnamese concession. And the world must stop China destroy our earth because people need it and living it. It's many challenges for our future and our children. We are the world come together to fight for freedom and save this earth and save our country for our children in the future. And living it without threat. China must stop build the dam in Laos and use other solar instead of it. I thank you, America, thank you, EU, and thank you to the world to save the Laos and making global democracy, global human rights, and global international law to protect the world. And appreciate deeply that I said today. My recommend today is to end the Chinese and Vietnamese environmental destruction in Laos. It cannot be that China protect the environment, but they destroy the environment of other countries. The world must stop bringing RBI and food from China. It is poisoning to the people and poisoning to us and to Lao people and the other world people. Lao PDR must stop deforestation, stop build the dam immediately, and must follow international rule at United Nations Treaty and climate change rule. Lao administration must be modified seriously and good governance. We urgent to acting right now. And I said the last and I say thank you for opportunity to let me speak on this meeting conference, climate change, COP27. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manychanh. It's very important issues. The next speaker will be Mr. Bounhom Chantha from French. You have to speak.
Okay, thank you, President Dr. Bounthone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our side events. I am Bounhom Chantha, Vice President of Alliance for Democracy in Laos on behalf of President Manychanh. Good evening to all of you who are watching right now this presentation. And my presentation today during this event is about mining in Laos PDR, sure in the context of COP27 summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. It reminds us of the importance of environmental issues in the world, e.g. global warming, climate crisis. So the key objective of the United Nations is to ensure accountability, implementation of the Paris COP26, and to raise the awareness of the rich country and other civil society to provide aid and assistance, especially to so-called developing, so less so-called developing countries, LDC like Laos, to achieve the goal. Laos take the plunge all the time to access climate finance and another development aid and take advantage of the rich country, but never meet its commitment. For me, the Lao government plan to develop socio-economic infrastructure based on natural resource capital is a huge mistake anyway. But why that? That is the question. The response is very simple, Doctor, because investors, especially Chinese and Vietnamese, make their own laws without any control and sanction because of corruption that everyone has always known. Mining exploitation without common measure or limits, in short, all for the benefit of foreign investors, especially the Chinese and the Vietnamese that I mentioned earlier. The Laotian state has, of course, a state, but it's minimal, about 10%. So, there are 570 mineral deposits spread throughout the Lao PDR. You have gold, copper, precious stone, gypsum, tin, etc. The exploitation and concession began in 2002, so almost 2 decades ago. 2014 companies are currently exploiting the mineral in Lao PDR, half of which are Chinese, followed by Vietnam and Thailand, with 319 further prospecting programs and 800 projects still to come in the next few years. This is because the Lao government believes it can compensate for the growing public deficit and the fall in currency. The area used for mining represents 30.75% of the land area, more than 7 million hectares. That huge, by the way. According to the Ministry of Energy and Mine, direct revenue to the state coffers and are estimated at $2.064 billion, with 1.4 billion collected from the Sepon mining in Savanakhet province. Despite this, there is still a public deficit due to that and massive corruption. In my opinion, to be honest, there is not and never will be a sustainable and economic development for the Lao people. Instead, they suffer the consequences, such as grabbing of agricultural land, environmental pollution as well. The rule and standards of environmental protection have not been respected due to lack of expertise within the government and among the owners. More and more rivers are being poisoned with mercury and other chemicals, resulting in fish kill and poison pastures for livestock. And 85% of the population work in agriculture, but environmental degradation and ongoing land grabbing make it increasingly difficult to the population to produce enough food. What was unthinkable in the past is now a bitter reality, the famine. The European Union has concluded various agreements on environmental protection and development aid with the Lao PDR. However, most of the money from development aid does not arrive in Laos because of the massive corruption, alas. Now, the rules and standard of protection in Laos has not been respected due to lack, okay, I say that already. And here is a list of the mine that we believe to be responsible for the most damage. 1, the gold mine of Chinese company Lansang in Sepon, Vilabuli City, Savanakhet province. 2, Pubia by Chinese company in Longsan village, Sai Songbun province. 3, gold mine in Attapur province by Vietnamese entrepreneur. 4, Nakador Nakhon gold mine by Laotian entrepreneur Mr.Pheng, the owner of the son, is the son-in-law of former President Chumani Sainason in Borikamsai province. 5, Putiu metal aluminium mine, Hua Hin City, Kham Muan Province. 6. Metal aluminium mine, Hua Sai City, Bokeo Province. 7. Metal aluminium mine in Kasi City, Manychanh Province. 8. Metal aluminium mine in Pagu Village, Bulapa City, Kham Muan Province. 9. Metal mine from Chinese entrepreneur in Naman Village, Sai Sumbun Province. And finally, 10. Gold and bronze mine from Chinese entrepreneur in Namua Village, Kham City, Siang Quang Province. I would like, before I finish my speech, Dr. Bounthone, please give me the hold for able to share my photo to give you a vision of the extent of the damage of the mine exploitation in Laos PDR, please.
You have the host.
Okay, and now I would like to share to all of you today in this forum of outside events. Okay, if everyone see the photo, this is
No,
the mining
you
of
don't see.
Hukam. And then here, the mining of the same mining is the
Can you say please again? We don't see it.
and here I want to draw your attention in this photo because the indication we can read in the photo is the concession of the area is 5 hectares, but in reality, the exploitation exceeds 5 hectares. It's really 100 hectares. And recently, I have the confirmation of Radio Free Asia. This is a fishy affair in this province, Sekong, in the southeast of Laos. It is really horrible, you know.
Can you share again, please? We don't see it.
Okay. I think that is the problem. It is compatible with the two system of the computer. I am very sorry to say that. Okay. Nobody see the photo?
Or maybe try again.
No.
Okay, I try again. Okay.
You have to share screen, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's okay?
It's okay now. Yes.
It's okay now. This is in the Sekong province that I mentioned earlier. 5 hectares concede, but in reality, 100 hectares is exploited by a Vietnamese company. It is a fishy affair, you know. we know all the time the local officials are very corrupt. It is it is really horrible, you know. And here, it is mining of Pukam. And the next, it is Pubia. No comment. And when you see the photo, it is a sad landscape that I want to show you the extent of the damage in the ground in Laos PDR. And this is I want to share you before I finish my speech. And now our recommendation in 3 points, ladies and gentlemen. 1, impose
Can you
a
please
moratorium.
yes.
Okay, impose a moratorium on mining now and make the polluter pay. And 2, control the climate finance granted and other aid for development to Laos by the independent international community and demand the accountability of the use of the funds. And 3, strengthen the role of a free and independent NGO for effective and transparent reporting of international aid fund to Laos PDR. Thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Bounhom. Can you give me horse, please?
Okay, I finish my speech.
And now you have heard about all problems in the Laos PDR. How can we protect the environment in Laos? We, the Alliance for Democracy in Laos, we have some projects for the future. Our project is first, reforestation effectively. We make with the Lao people, with every family, to build a green homeland for our future. Indian plan for the Lao PDR government. We need fund and support from international. This fund and support will be directly for the people in Laos, will be directly for the NGO, green NGO, independent NGO, but not for the Congo. The colored Congo is only organization directly from the Lao PDR's government. Now we need effective project for our country to stop land grab, stop mining in Laos, stop influence from Vietnam, from China, from dictator country, from our country. We need work together with all our people, all activists for protection our environment, protection human rights, and build democracy in our country. We are today in this side event will be with UN Climate Conference COP27 in Egypt this year. We hope that the international aid and international fund for the Lao PDR, not for the Lao PDR government, for the corruption government, but we hope this aid from international for the Lao people. They need to build our country for green country in the future, to stop every destruction from environment in our country. Thank you so much for every speaker today, and thank you so much for here our side event today. We give our side event today to the COP7 in tomorrow. Thank you. See you.